Thrill me.
I'm gonna name you Kodo. You get a name too, Podo.
His name is Happy Harry Hardon. He's a total sex maniac.
Of course.
Welcome, everybody, to another Q's and T's installment of the Unkind Rewind, where we sit down and get to know our next guest, Scott Lucas. We get to know him, we get to know his history with next week's movie, and then next week we will revisit the movie that he's not seen since his youth and see how it holds up, which is not always kindly. Sean is obviously out of pocket. I'm your host, Josh Dugan. Sean is in our neighbor to the north to celebrate the nuptials of an old friend. I just spent the weekend up north, though not quite Canada north, up north with former podcast guests Jeremy Steen and Stuart Parker, which was great. Cool to see them. Cool to hang out. Getting right to business. Sean asked in the top half of the Q's and T's episode before we were talking to Lori if we were recording at the same time of the year that Sam Berkowitz started killing people. For the record, we were recording on the evening of July 29th, Sean and I were, which would have been about 22 hours after the first killing occurred back in 1976, though the murders for which he'd have renown later, where he was leaving letters, those didn't start happening until May of 1977. So, good on you, Sean. On Letterboxd, Drusif, who will be a guest sometime soon, watched Can't Buy Me Love and said they didn't have the glam up teen rom-com figured out, like what came out years later. Was odd how McDreamy seemed to forget how in love he was with Cindy throughout the majority of the movie, and then all of a sudden, they're together at the end. Missed opportunity to have really built their love affair. Definitely a forgettable 80s movie, even with a young McDreamy. On Blue Sky, Gopher Balls piped in on us talking about Turk 182 with Lori in the Q's and T's app. He said, Zimmerman flew, Tyler knew, Turk 182, which I presume is some chant from that movie, which I have still not seen, though I intended to actually watch it last night and did not get around to it. Then he added, Siskel and Ebert loved Turk 182 about as much as they loved St. Elmo's Fire, which they historically hated so much they shat on it 3 times. Then when we posted the main event, Gopher Balls said, my dad went to Gillies on a business trip shortly after we watched this on cable. He said it was a tourist trap and left after 1 beer. Mechanical bulls were a fad for a hot time. One came to town for a fair or something. It was funny to watch at first, as everyone fell off after a couple seconds, but that got tedious real fast. On Instagram, Lorelei HB23 and Julia Brandeberry tossed out quotes from the film. I got a thumb, I got a middle finger, and give me another beer, sissy, respectively. And Barnes Jordy said she was excited to listen. So, hope you had a good time with that, Jordy. Now, getting to Scott. Scott is an old pal from Austin. I used to see him like once a week. He has been writing about baseball for ages. Like, on the internet, to have been writing about baseball for as long as Scott has is bonkers. He's very well known in baseball writing circles. He's been writing about the Rangers for 25 years, which no one was writing about baseball in 2000. Like, no one was. About baseball on the internet. Like, he was at the bleeding edge of all that. So, yeah, he's been a guest on many podcasts whenever it makes sense for Rangers prospect writer to pop on. He's also got his own podcast that he's a co-host on, Diamond Pod, which you can find on Apple and The Ticket and Spotify. So, yeah, they podcast out the radio episode, I believe, is the way that's set up. You can read all of his prospect writing at scottlucas.com. You can find him on Blue Sky at scottrlucas.bluesky.social. And he is currently, and this is entirely coincidentally, he is doing his annual sort of one-time donation push. So if you're a fan of Scott's work, fan of the Rangers, or just want to support local writers, or not local writers, but support baseball writers, he's doing his one-time a year drive, which you can pay via PayPal or Venmo. All that stuff should be on his website, I believe. But yeah, subscribe to his newsletter if you're a baseball fan. It is invaluable. So, without further ado, let's kick right to our pre-interview with Scott Lucas. Welcome, everybody, to another Q's and T's installment of the Unkind Rewind. I'm Josh Dugan. As always, I'm joined by my co-host, Sean McGrath. How are things, Sean?
Hi, how's it going? How are you, Josh?
I'm well. You've got... Oh, this isn't evergreen. Never mind. I'm not even going to go into it.
Okay, something is happening that is irrelevant by the time this airs.
Yeah, completely irrelevant by the time this airs.
But could you imagine? I mean, did you see what happened? I mean, like, it was crazy, right? The thing that's happening tonight.
Wild stuff.
Who would have expected that?
We're joined by our special guest this week. Sorry, I was in other mode. But we're joined by our special guest this week, Scott Lucas. Scott.
Hey.
Thanks.
Things are good. Thanks for having me on. I'm a little, I don't know if intimidated is the right word, but
that's what we're going for.
I looked at previous guest lists and like everybody's an artist or in the industry or something like that, and I'm just kind of a rando guy that you just
we have there's like a baseball through line too.
Okay.
Yeah, like Max from Royals Review. There's it hasn't dropped yet, but we have one of the former he did the post-game show for the KC radio station for a year or two for the Royals. So he's like one of the next ones that's dropping in our timeline.
Okay.
We did Jim Cotta with him.
All right.
I forgot about Jim Cotta. I mean, I didn't forget about Jim Cotta as a martial art. I forgot that we did that movie. I always remember Jim Cotta, of course, my training. And I should say, Scott, that 100% of the hosts tonight have baseball hats on. So
yes.
Yeah, I guess I'm the only one who doesn't. So I have I have one sitting here. I'm not wearing it, but Myrtle Beach Pelicans.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
Nice. Yeah, I've got the home alternate St. Paul Saints Pig's Eye hat.
Okay.
Because they're Pig's Eye is what St. Paul was originally when it was settled.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was named after a bootlegger, I believe.
Mm.
They didn't, I guess, want to stick with that. Whatever. So, Scott, for those at home who aren't plugged into baseball and are listening to this, why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
Well, in terms of baseball, that's probably what I am most famous for, to the extent that I am famous.
Sure.
I've been writing about baseball pretty regularly for, about 25 years. I actually started.
Very, very regularly.
Yes.
Yeah. As someone who gets your newsletter,
right.
You probably, it's hundreds of thousands of words. You've got to be well over the million word mark.
Well over 1 million. I don't really keep count anymore. I used to keep count. It averaged about 120,000 words a year. And I've been doing this particular gig for about 18 years. So whatever that comes out to. I was like in between jobs on purpose, and ESPN was looking for independent team correspondents for their fantasy coverage. And I used to be really heavily into fantasy baseball. And so I was like, sure. And the submission was like, what qualifies you to do this? And what I sent was like, I don't know if I'm qualified enough, but if you hire me, here's my first column. And I got picked, and they said there were like 100 applicants for the Rangers, and they picked me. And there was no money. I was doing it for exposure, which, whatever.
Been there.
I don't do that don't do that anymore. But it was a fun gig. I'd write once or twice a week, and people ask me questions, and I got like free T-shirts. And
was that when it was still the Sweet Spot? The ESPN Sweet Spot, is that what it was called? The team-centric sites? I know it was for a little while, but it might have been way later.
Yeah, I wasn't associated with that. It's like if you went to the fantasy page, then somewhere on the page it was like, they had listed 30 teams, and off to the side, my name was next to the Rangers.
Sure.
And so people would write in and ask questions, and, it was fun. I did it for a few years, and then the guy who took it over basically summarily fired everybody. I didn't even get an email. It was like somebody else got an email, but I didn't, and I tried to log in, and I couldn't. But to be honest,
online baseball writing goes.
Yeah, but to be honest, I was kind of wearing out on it anyway.
Sure.
And that was around 2007-ish. And at the time, a guy named Jamie Newberg, who wrote something at that time called the Newberg Minor League Report, which was like really hardcore coverage of the minor leagues, which especially at that time was almost unheard of.
It was not. This was not a widespread, and to be like team centric,
right,
was
so
like no one.
It was when the internet was just becoming robust enough to do that sort of thing. I know in terms of how minor league ball put their stats out. I think it was about 2005 when they got serious about it, and you could look up things online, and that certainly made it a lot easier. But he had an assistant. He kind of wrote about whatever he wanted. He had somebody else who did daily reports and covered all the games. And that guy just didn't want to do it anymore. I think he was mad about the John Danks for McCarthy trade, among other things. Just was sick of the Rangers and asked me to take over. And I told him, I said, to be honest, this is not my area of expertise. I can learn, but I'm not as good as, I don't have this other guy's knowledge by a long shot. And Jamie was like, you'll learn. I don't care. And just sort of got into it and really enjoyed it. I thought it was, it was fun. And the idea that like, I didn't even do it the first 2 years because it never even occurred to me that anybody would accept it. But like getting media passes. I mean, to be honest, a lot of this is that, oh, you'll let me come into a park and watch the game for free? Okay, sure. I'll do that. That sounds great.
I can sit behind home plate?
Yeah, I can, sit where I want,
or in
talk
the press
to scouts,
box?
And it used to be when players would chart the games, you could talk to them too.
Yeah.
Don't do that anymore. It's all, computer.
Sure.
But, it's just fun. And, Jamie ended up writing for The Athletic for a few years. And so I kept writing on his website just out of inertia, but at some point I moved it to, it's just scottlucas.com. And just kept writing. And I don't pretend to be a scout. I don't pretend to be super stats expert or a videographer. I kind of try to dabble in a little bit of everything. And the idea is if you're a fan of the team, if you're interested in this kind of stuff, by the time the player makes it to the majors, you've got a good idea of what their future might be, what their high points and low points are. I'm a homer, but I try to be honest about it.
Yeah.
So
who are the baseball writers, either classic or modern, that you read, that you look up to, that have influenced you?
Woo, that's a good question. To an extent, in the way I write, I don't know if anybody, because the way I write, I'm just kind of, I don't know if I'm a good writer, but I'm analytical, and it also fits in with my real job where I just like take data sets and things like that and convert it into something that somebody might want to read. But in terms of like who I've admired, one of them, honestly, one of my favorite books is Ball 4 by Jim Bouton. I enjoy that, even though it's inside baseball. And the funny thing is, this is kind of a sidetrack, but Bob Uecker died not too long ago. Mm-hmm. I found an episode of him on the first time he was on the Tonight Show, and he was just blasting Bouton, just really critical. And because Bouton got a lot of backlash at the time of talking about stuff that you weren't supposed to talk about. He's one of my favorites. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on the author because, my memory is what it is. Halberstam. I'm sorry. I'm looking at my bookshelf right now. Halberstam, Summer of 49. A lot of the stuff that Poznanski wrote.
He's great.
Certainly. Actually, now that I think about it, somebody, I guess, who would be the best fit as far as influence would be Bill James.
Sure.
Trying to, an analytical approach, trying to find answers, find the right questions to ask.
Sure.
And then what the answers to those are.
Are you guys all in a group chat?
Yeah, me and Bill and Joe. Yes.
Cool.
They're actually, I've got them plugged in on the feed right now. They're listening right now.
Oh, cool. So. Yeah. They can weigh in if it's really important.
I saw Joe Poznanski once at Arthur Bryant's in Kansas City during the World Series in 2014.
Oh, okay.
I didn't say anything to him. I was actually with Jeff Zimmerman. But neither of us.
Oh, that Jeff. No, the problem is there used to be a pitcher for the Rangers named Jeff Zimmerman.
Yeah, no. The Fangraphs Jeff Zimmerman.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Josh and the pitcher Jeff Zimmerman don't talk anymore.
We're not on speaking terms.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was
he
a
knows
pastry-related incident. Yeah,
he knows.
But yeah, I mean, I don't, I never go to the winter meetings, but you run into guys in the spring. I got to chat with Peter Gammons a couple times, and a lot of it was kind of honestly fanboyish on my part, just like,
sure.
Love what you read. And I held the door open for Buster Olney once because he was like rushing to go from some place to another and looked like he was about to run through a plate glass window. So I held the door.
I saw Rosenthal in Grand Central Market in Los Angeles, not in normal clothes, not in a bow tie. It was the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Yeah, he rarely takes off that bow tie. Like even in
anytime he's on camera, he's wearing a bow tie. So to see him in a t-shirt was mind-blowing.
Yeah, the Ken Rosenthal in a bow tie reminds me of that childhood story with the girl who has the scarf around her neck. And it's only into the last page do you find out the scarf was keeping her head on.
Okay, yeah.
I'm worried that that's what we're dealing with Rosenthal and the bow tie.
I can categorically say that his head is not held on by his bow tie.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
I'll need one other person.
Him sans bow tie.
I need one other person to corroborate, Josh, and then I'll believe you.
But I mean, whenever I run into somebody like that, nowadays I am trying as hard as I can to be as ordinary as possible, because a lot of these people, they get pestered and ask for autographs and stuff like that. It's like, I'm just going to treat you like a real person, or ignore you if you look like you're busy, and maybe that'll make your day slightly better.
Or hold doors open for people.
Or hold doors.
Just be courteous.
I'm here for it.
How do you feel about Sebastian Walcott?
I feel good. Some of the top 100 prospect ratings that have come out, there's some variance in there. Some people have him ranked, I feel like, maybe down in the 30s or 40s. But I think Keith Law at the Athletic had him number. There's a lot of people who have said Walcott could be like the best prospect in baseball next year. But there's a couple of people who are like, screw it. We're just going to put him there now. I mean, the sky's the limit. I don't really like putting comps on people, but just for the sake of argument, I mean, the thing I've heard is like Fernando Tatis Jr. type.
Yeah.
That's probably his ceiling. But, I mean, it's also, he had stretches a couple years ago in rookie ball where everybody discovered he couldn't hit anything with bend, and he looked like a mess for a while. The early part of last season was a mess. But
the last 2/3 of last season,
right, to be 18 and a young 18 and be able to handle that, and then he got promoted to Double-A at the end of the season and held his own is just staggering. It's and in terms of where the Rangers, I don't know where he'll end up. He's not going to be a shortstop because the Rangers have a shortstop. I don't, Seager could move at some point. I don't think it's going to happen The thing I always said about Seager is like he's a shortstop for half his contract and then third and first, but
as
long as he holds up. I mean, my original thought was Walcott would be like at third and you would move Young over to first when Nathaniel Lowe was gone, but the Rangers traded Lowe and got Jake Berger, who's now their first baseman. So, right field is a possibility. He's got a cannon arm. But
I mean, he's still like middle of next year away, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's going to start in Double-A. I mean, I guess there is a universe.
They could rush him, but
there is a universe where he could do well enough and get a late call up. But that's not. I'm always pretty conservative about that thing. That kind of thing. If it works out, great. But
he's not an angel.
Yeah, right. Where they're going to draft a guy out of college. I mean, the Rangers did that with Langford, but Langford
played his way to the majors.
Langford played his way there, where the Angels are just like, oh my God, you've been in the system 6 months. We got to call you up. I'm glad I'm not an Angels fan.
Same. Do you, for perspective, do you feel like as prospects in the abstract, and Langford's not a prospect anymore, but like heading into last year, do you feel more bullish on Langford heading into 2024 or Walcott now? This is getting really inside baseball, but
no, I mean,
they're obviously different prospects.
This isn't a great answer, but I feel like kind of equal. Langford has a much higher floor. Like, Langford's the kind of guy, he's never, ever going to be worse than an average major leaguer. And there's going to be a lot of years, hopefully, where he's, like, really special. Whereas there are guys of Walcott's talent who, for whatever reason, end up just don't making it. I mean, some of it's injury, some of it is, like,
like Profar. With Profar, it was. I mean, it took forever for Profar to.
Yeah, and that's an outlier. But there have been guys who, they discovered that they just flat out really never figure out how to hit a slider, and they just
or they don't see a real fastball until they're in the high minors and exposed. Yeah,
things like that can still happen. He's an aggressive hitter, and so he still has a ways to go. Whereas when Langford
was drafted 2 years older than
right, well, so much older but at the day Langford was drafted, he was a very mature product.
Yeah.
So but I mean, Walcott could end up being better than Langford ever is. There's a decent chance of that.
Do you feel like Walcott is the most excited you've been for a middle infield prospect for the Rangers since Profar?
Yeah, I can't. I'd have to look at like an old list, but yeah, there's nobody.
I mean, no one's jumping to my mind.
There's nobody at his level. I mean, there was Luis Angel Acuna, who's with the Mets now. He was part of the Scherzer trade, and I liked him. I probably was a little bit higher on him than some other people, but no, not even,
nowhere close to.
With Acuna, it was like, oh, hopefully he can be like an average major leaguer, that kind of thing.
Right.
And
you're betting on bloodline half of it, like.
Yeah. So yeah, certainly easily the best since you're talking about Profar.
And Profar was number one overall prospect.
Profar was the number one overall prospect. Now Profar at the top end wasn't as exciting as he was somebody who was supposed to have a really high floor too. Yeah. Not necessarily the crazy toolsiest guy in the world, but really he had no weaknesses. The only weakness was a shoulder that cost him 2 years. But then going back farther, you have to you're talking about Elvis Andres. Who doesn't hit like Walcott hits. So
no. So
well, that's all the time we have for it. Scott, thanks so much for being with us today.
Yeah, sorry, we went down a baseball rabbit hole, some of which will probably get cut out of the audio version.
We're gonna hear 4 words of that.
I mean, I care about that stuff. I care about the conversation.
Y'all do you.
Josh needs to add. Yeah, Josh needs one more podcast in his life. Talking ball.
Yeah.
It's for me. It's like it's a. I do depositions in real life. I'm just here to answer the questions that are asked.
No, I led us down this path. This was not a you thing. This was not a you issue.
Yeah, Josh will always own it.
So, obviously, this podcast is sort of more centrally focused on our youth. What would you describe your childhood as having been like?
Exceptionally boring, probably compared to most people. My parents moved to Arlington, Texas, probably like a few months before I was born. Lived there for a while, and then moved to Miami, and then they decided they hated Miami, moved back, and I spent the rest of my time in Arlington. I was basically just a ordinary, dull, middle class to upper middle class kid. Parents had a nice but not too nice house. I didn't live in the rich kids neighborhood, but I wasn't in the poor neighborhood either.
Yeah.
There was a school down the street.
The middle class still existed.
Yeah. My elementary school had 5 people who weren't my skin color.
Sure.
It just, it was kind of a sheltered existence, to be honest. We had a boat. We'd go to Lake Grapevine and water ski and stuff like that. My dad used to have Dallas Cowboys season tickets back when they were pretty cheap. So, I got to see Roger Staubach.
Yeah.
And Tony Dorsett.
The end of the Tom Landry era.
Yeah, the end of the Tom Landry years. I think I was at Roger Staubach's last game as a professional when they lost to the Rams in the playoffs.
Okay.
And this is going back a long ways, but there's a semi-famous shot of Tom Landry where Danny White called an audible at the headline at the line of scrimmage. Ended up being a terrible play. They lost to the Redskins, and it was really catastrophic. I was at that game.
Right on.
I saw a lot of Texas Ranger games as a kid. Part of the Dr. Pepper Jr. Rangers Club. And so you would get cheap tickets to watch the Mariners on a Tuesday night, that kind of thing.
Now, were your parents from Texas originally, or did they just happen to move there?
They were both from a small town in South Carolina called Lancaster. And they had the good fortune to both go to college and then leave. Because I've done some history tracing on my family, and it's that particular part of South Carolina, I can go back 200 years, and it's just nobody moved. I don't know why.
Yeah.
So, which is good, because I'm nothing against small towns, but I'm not
made for it. Yeah.
I'm a city guy. So,
when were you? So you were in Miami for a little bit of time, or did your parents
I
move
was
after
really
you
young.
graduated?
I don't really
Okay.
have any memory of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
but,
basically, the bulk of your youth was Arlington. Anything you remember was Arlington.
Yeah. I spent I went to high school at Arlington Lamar. After that, came down to the University of Texas at Austin to go to college.
Yeah.
And I think in the middle of my summer between my sophomore and junior years, I moved down here, like got an apartment early, and that's it. I've been here ever since.
What was your childhood relationship with movies like?
Well, I always loved, just love watching movies. Certainly, movie watching was different back then. Generally speaking, if you wanted to see something, you had to go to the theater. So there was a lot more of that. Things would show up. There'd be there were 3 main networks, and they would show stuff once in a while. But if you didn't live it, it's really kind of hard to describe. It was like if you didn't see the movie at the theater, and then a couple years later they would show it, on a Sunday at 7 p.m. And if you didn't make time to watch it, then you just weren't going to see that movie ever. Until the invention of videotapes and cable channels. But my parents like watching movies. Some of the ones on not everything, but obviously, but there's a couple movies on the list I gave y'all. I know there were times when my parents would take me to some movies when they didn't have a babysitter, and some of the movies were fine, and some of them were like, I didn't have it on the list, but I have a memory of seeing All the President's Men, and I was probably 7 years old, and that's a
lot to wrap your head around as a 7-year-old.
That's a boring ass movie to watch when you're. I have a memory of just can we go now? But
is that when you first started smoking?
Yeah, pretty much. No, my mom smoked. She smoked enough for the 2 of us, so it was fine.
Did you feel like you had the allocation of your free time? A lot of kids sometimes that are heavy into sports sometimes lose out on movies. They don't see as many as the ones who are not interested in sports. Did you feel like you had a good split between kind of those interests?
Yeah, I think so. I did all the sports as a kid. I played soccer, and Lord knows I played football for a while, and luckily got out of that before I got hurt too badly. But no, I don't.
You just said that 5 minutes ago, Scott. Just kidding.
Uh-oh. I did get a concussion playing soccer, so
yeah, soccer's no joke. So I knew some friends in high school
that.
Yeah, concussions in soccer I think sometimes are not as reported.
Yeah.
A lot of headers, a lot of stuff like that.
Yeah, I had a header with a teammate of mine, and basically went down in a heap. And next thing I knew, I was sitting on the bench, and I don't know how I got from the field to the bench. So that was fun. But no, I always feel like, especially at that particular age, I guess I was mature enough. The parents would just drop you off at the theater and get you out of their hair for a couple hours. So it was go watch this movie. There was a movie I watched with my daughter a few weeks ago that I hadn't seen or thought about in forever because it's on the Disney Channel now. Return to Witch Mountain. Does that ring a bell at all?
Nice. Oh yeah. I had a weird displaced crush time-wise on Kim Richards. When I was Kim Richards' age in those movies.
Was she in Tough Turf or something? She was in some.
Oh, she was in Tough Turf for real.
Yeah.
I love Tough Turf.
Yeah.
But when I was 10, I had a crush on Kim Richards in Escape 2 and Return
Escape to
from,
Witch
whichever
Mountain. I'm sorry. Right. Yeah, I just
Well, there's 2. There's
There's a handful of movies that I would have liked to have picked, but because I eventually had a kid, we got Disney Channel. Some of those it's gone back and watched. And Escape to Witch Mountain is weird. It's I told it the kids are aliens, literally aliens. I'd completely forgotten about that part. So no, I always felt like I was always into movies. I don't feel like I was missed anything on that at all. And God, like when Star Wars came out, I probably saw it in the theater like a dozen times.
When you're thinking back on this time, was there one particular theater that got all of your family's money, or did you guys kind of space it around?
Oh, it probably got spaced around, but there was a theater at what was called Six Flags Mall. I'm sure it's been torn down since, but went there a lot. There was also the Forum 303 Mall, which I went to a lot as a kid, and went to regularly in my teenage years to do the midnight movie kind of thing, which one of the movies I picked, I saw a million times there. We'd also, I'd see Rocky Horror Picture Show like once a month. Not when I was 9, but,
sure.
Like by the time I was like 11. No, like 16 or so.
Uh-huh.
So those two, but yeah, those are the two that pop in my head. But, Arlington had a good number of movie theaters so at that time. So there were plenty of, you'd get the newspaper and there'd be like, at the time, there'd be like 2 full pages of listings for movies, and go pick out the one you want to see at the right spot.
Was there ever a point at which you had like cable movie channels or anything in the house?
Yeah, and some of the movies, actually probably the majority of the movies I picked sort of line up with that.
Okay.
I can't remember what it was called, but at some point in the early 80s, we got a movie channel. It wasn't HBO. I feel like it was called Preview.
Okay.
But I can't. I'd have to look. I didn't look it up.
No, that's fine.
It was just something that it showed movies. So there's a few on my potential list that I picked off of that.
Sure.
One I didn't pick because I saw it too many times, and even though I haven't seen it in 25 years, I feel like I could just spell a dialogue. Was Poltergeist.
Okay.
Which is a great movie.
Yeah.
But it's just like I probably saw it like 30 times. So
God.
you'd see kind of the same things over
Did
and over.
Did it stop scaring you? Was it like...
Oh,
did
yeah,
still have some...
Plus,
like after...
at the time it came out, it was like I was at an age where I was like too cool to be scared and stuff like that. Even though, actually, there are parts of that movie that are pretty darn scary. And then you watch it as an adult, your kid gets kidnapped into a television. That's kind of scary.
Yeah, it's a different movie when you're a parent, probably.
Yeah, and this is kind of a sidetrack, but when like the original Twin Peaks came out in whatever the 89 or 90,
yeah,
when it showed up on cable again, or not cable, one of the streaming services, I was like, oh yeah, cool, I can watch Twin Peaks again. And I mean, obviously I'm not giving anything away. Laura Palmer's dead, and there's like, Lynch's scenes are
it is the first
slow,
scene,
and all the parents in their agony, and I'm sitting there like, I can't fucking watch this right now. I'm not. This is too hard, and I just ended up not watching it. It was like too much, and now I don't think it's streaming anymore. So I don't know.
I suppose getting to your list, you submitted Altered States, The Jazz Singer, which, yeah,
the remake of The Jazz Singer.
The remake of The Jazz Singer, Neil Diamond in blackface, which I considered for a second, but
yeah. So the Jazz Singer was one of the ones. I'm sorry, the Jazz Singer was one of the ones. Definitely, parents took me to it because they were like big Neil Diamond fans.
Sure. And then Excalibur, The Thing, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, Pink Floyd The Wall, Risky Business, A Nightmare on Elm Street, and The Sure Thing. Do you want to take a guess as to what one we're going with?
I don't know. The problem is I looked at some of your previous ones, and they're kind of all over the map.
Yeah, we're all over the place.
So I don't really have a good feel for what your choices are. I don't know if you would go for something. I mean, none of these movies are like super obscure, but some are more famous than others.
I mean, the Sure Thing is somewhat obscure.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sort of the, in a way, it's almost like a prequel to Say Anything. It's sort of, there's some similarities between them.
Yeah.
But no, I actually spent more time agonizing over this than I
It's hard to guess.
probably should have. I actually originally had St. Elmo's Fire on it, which I understand you already did.
Yeah, we
But
just dropped that one this week.
I just decided it with that one. It's like, I don't really care if I see that one again or not. So I ended up leaving it off.
And you wouldn't have known that we had done it already.
Yeah.
So we narrowed it down to 2. We narrowed it down to Risky Business and Nightmare on Elm Street.
Okay.
But I think ultimately we decided it might be funnier to do Risky Business.
I think that's a better choice.
Yeah.
I agree. I will say, with the Nightmare on Elm Street, since we're not going to be doing it, the formative thing about that with me that came out, I was old enough. I drove to the theater myself, so I was old enough to drive. But that was one of those things, like, get together with friends and, maybe, like, snuck a beer or two. And it's like, oh, yeah, we're going to see this goofy, slasher film, blah, blah, blah. It's actually a pretty damn scary movie. I think I was sitting there at the theater like, this is actually scary. It's like, oh my gosh, what have I gotten myself into? But it's a good movie. It holds up.
Yeah, I've only seen it like twice maybe, and I don't have like, I have the problem where like they all kind of bleed into.
Yeah, well, they did the sequels, of course, and Freddy Krueger became kind of like a brand more than.
Right.
But at that particular time, it was completely out of left field. There was no, it was just some low budget thing, and it holds up.
And we all got to sleep.
Yes, all had to sleep.
So that's why it was so effective. But no. But in the end, it was we're entering Tom Cruise's world here. And
yeah. No, I'm happy with that.
Josh, is this our first Tom Cruise led
first
movie?
cruise?
First cruise on the Unkind Rewind.
Yeah, we haven't. Yeah, none of the ones that are in the can have him either. So, all right. So memory can be a tricky thing.
Yes.
Having not rewatched Risky Business in ages.
Yeah, and don't watch it right now as we're talking.
Yeah.
No.
But can you briefly describe what you remember the basic plot of the film being?
Yeah, Tom Cruise is like a high school student. I think he's pretty close to graduating, and there's a lot of stuff about what he's trying to get into, the right college. He lives in a really wealthy neighborhood. But his parents go out of town for a week. He decides he wants to, or like he either decides to, or he's kind of like talked into having a prostitute come to his house while his parents are on vacation. And if I remember correctly, they end up totally ripping him off, taking a bunch of stuff out of his home. And a lot of the movie is him trying to get all that stuff back before his parents come into town and navigating that underworld. And also he's got, a pretty big crush on Rebecca De Mornay, because who wouldn't? Also there's stuff about, I think at some point he has that's right. He has a party to, raise money to, I think, buy all the stuff back from the people who ripped him off. And it turns out one of the college advisors who he's trying to get into shows up to interview him, and he has to navigate that. But a lot of it is just, it's a very, to me, it's very, and we can get into it more when the actual movie is
Sure.
going on, but a lot of it is very culturally resonant. To me, it's like a perfect distillation of kind of the Reagan era. For that particular time, it's a very modern movie. There's not, I'll have to see it to remember, but it feels like there's not like a hint of the 1970s in it. It feels like
I feel fairly confident in agreeing with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, But yeah, I mean, it's one of those movies. Let me think. I wouldn't have seen it in the theater because I was a little bit young. But it's one of those things that showed up on cable and then video rentals, and I don't know how many times I've seen it, but several. But the last time I saw it, honestly, I couldn't even tell you. At least 20 years, probably
maybe 30.
30.
Yeah. What do you think you were like at the age that you would have been watching Risky Business?
Oh,
because you're probably, when you would have been watching it, you're probably just a couple years younger than Cruz's character, right? For the most part.
Yeah, probably the first time I've seen it. I might have seen it when it could have been probably like 15. Okay, it came out in 1983, I think. So I would have been 15 or 16, somewhere in that range. Yeah, I don't know. A lot of it was just because I was kind of an ordinary kid, but I sort of remember at the time there were certain elements of like his existence that
parallel
I looked up to. I mean, Cruz's character, if I remember correctly, wasn't necessarily cool. I mean, he might have gained some coolness as the movie went on, but at the same time, he was like, yeah, he lived in this magnificent house and it was his dad's car, but like I got to drive around some incredible car, and
he wasn't a poon hound.
Yeah, he was.
No.
It was actually
right.
He now that I think about it, I think he's got some friend of his who kind of talked him into getting somebody. He was like a really nervous kid, so in that respect, I mean, credit to the movie for not making him, some sort of outside character. Right. But I mean, even though he was kind of like awkward stuff, there was like a coolness to that whole atmosphere where the movie was set. Even though some of the people he's running into, you certainly wouldn't want to be doing that in real life,
especially as a high schooler.
Yeah. Yes.
How would you know, Scott?
My 20s.
Are you presuming?
My 20s were kind of weird. I can't remember.
All right.
Austin was a crazy place.
Yeah.
What
Josh,
was it about?
Well, before that, like, has it been a long time for you on this one?
No, I've seen it in the last year.
Okay. Yeah, I'm pretty fuzzy, Scott, to be honest. I'm kind of like
I've seen this multiple times in the last decade. Yeah.
Okay.
No, I'm more along the lines with Scott. Like, I think I like a full watch through. It's got to be early 90s. A full watch through of this.
Crazy.
Yeah, I'm probably the same way. I can't think of a time when. Now, was there a time like in the late 90s where it was on cable and I had it on, and it would probably, but like I there's no way I've sat down and watched this in decades.
What do you think it was about Risky Business that appealed to you?
Well, I mean, some of it, when you're at that age, especially during the 80s and probably younger, the 70s too, it's always true. It's like you're watching movies that are like about your peers, kind of. Mm-hmm. People the same age as you, and getting into, well, not necessarily situations with prostitutes, but, getting into crazy adult type situations and how they handle it. And just the fact that it was, mostly a comedy. I mean, it was just sort of like, when you were that age, that was the kind of movie you went to go see. Sure. There were always plenty of them in the theaters, and some were terrible, and I probably thankfully forgot about them. And some of them became kind of cultural touchstones, like this one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the 80s definitely started to cater towards the teen audience a lot more than it had been before. So, do you have any memories that stick out about seeing Risky Business?
Well, I would guess the first time I saw it, it might have been by myself because it was just on cable. I'm sure I've seen it with friends. I mean, it's not if we had done like, probably The Jazz Singer is the worst movie on the list I had, and we would have been like,
I can say that I didn't choose it because I didn't want to watch it again.
Yeah,
I've seen it as an adult, and it's very bad.
I know the one scene where Neil Diamond is in blackface. I've seen that part, and it's like, ooh, okay, yeah, that would have been.
Yeah, I didn't feel like we needed to walk down that path.
Yeah, but basically everything else on the list, and it's like, yeah, I'm really interested in seeing this again and seeing how it holds up and seeing how it feels watching it as an adult versus when you watched it at that age. You know, another one that popped in my head, I doubt you would have picked it, but just because of the time it was released, was Porky's.
Okay.
Yeah. It was a low budget film, like raunchy teen sex comedy, but I think I haven't seen it in forever either. But my thought is like, I don't know if it held up, and there's a lot of stuff in it that's probably like really exploitative, and I was just like, I don't know if I want to.
Kind of sexually assaulted.
You don't, and you don't have to.
Right.
It doesn't have to be Porky's to check all those boxes that you just mentioned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was just like, I don't know if I want to put people.
Many movies qualify under this.
There's a lot of stuff that you look back on it and it's just like, oh wow, no, this is actually really terrible. And
16 Candles, Revenge of the Nerds.
Welcome to the Unkind Rewind, Scott.
Yeah. Definitely trod that.
There's probably going to be stuff like that in this movie too. We just, I'll just have to watch it again and have the memory jogged.
What expectations do you have for your return to Risky Business?
I mean, I hope it holds up as a good movie. I kind of feel like it will, just because it's a movie where kind of everybody knows about it to an extent. I mean, I guess if you're like 20, maybe not, but I feel like especially because Tom Cruise is still a thing. People know about his movies, and that was not his first movie, but certainly one of them. I hope it holds up. I
wonder what kind of stunt work he gets into in this movie.
That's right, because
we know a little bit in his whitey tidies.
Mm-hmm.
Tidy whiteys.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I think there's a thing where he's in a car and it's on the dock, and the car goes into the river. Maybe he did that. Maybe he did that scene himself.
If it's not going off of a cliff into a river, then probably not.
Yeah. But, at that time, I mean, I'd have to look at his filmography and get the order right. But, he was famous by then, but I don't think he was famous as a lead. He was in...
All the right moves,
I don't know which came
before
first.
This.
He was in Taps.
But that was an ensemble piece.
Right. I feel like... He wasn't in, no. He wouldn't have been in Rumblefish or The Outsiders. I think I'm mixing that up with something.
He was in The Outsiders.
He's in one of them.
Sure. He was in The Outsiders.
He's a greaser.
Okay. But that's another one where he's one of any number of people in it. It's not a star vehicle for him.
Right.
This is the one that set him on his path.
Yeah, so Outsiders and Risky Business are the same year. All the Right Moves is 83 as well.
I thought about that one too, but I was like, if I'm going to pick that kind of movie, I'm going to do Risky Business.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I think it's fairly safe to say that this is the Tom Cruise breakout movie.
Yeah, I think so.
Do you think you're going to like it?
I think so. I hope so.
Okay.
My memory of it is it feels like something that should hold up.
Sure.
And that seeing it as, you never know, you see it as an adult and see what, I don't know how old he was when he made this movie, but you're watching people who are ostensibly 17 years old and watching it as somebody who's been an adult for a long time and watching what 17-year-olds do, and it's just like, oh my God, I can't believe they're doing these things, But I'm kind of expecting it to hold up on the whole, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Where can the audience find you, Scott?
Oh, as far as my baseball stuff?
Yeah, on the internet.
Yeah, okay. Well, so as far as the baseball stuff I write about, it's just scottlucas.com, SCOTTLUCAS. I technically have a Twitter account. I almost never use it now for various reasons, but if you go there, it's just Scott R. Lucas. I tend to post more at Blue Sky, same handle, Scott R. Lucas. That's about. There's a podcast I do with a guy named Sean Bass, who is a afternoon DJ at the radio station called The Ticket in Dallas. We don't do a whole lot of them, haven't done any yet this year, but if you look for a podcast called, if you do like Google like Diamond Pod Texas Rangers, you'll be able to find it, and it's me and Sean and a guy named Michael Tepid, not his real name, but we talk about Rangers prospects every few weeks. That's about, other than a little bit of really limited stuff on my real job as a real estate appraiser, that's I'm kind of very low key famous, which is fine.
Yeah, I mean, serious Rangers fans definitely know who you are.
Sure.
Yeah,
right.
Well, Scott, thank you.
Thanks for risking.
Thanks for risking risky business.
Yeah, no, I'm glad. You make a list and you turn it in, and I'm like, well, should I have done this? Should I pick this other thing? Sure. But no, that was one of the movies where I was thinking, yeah, this will be a good one to do.
Sometimes we choose a movie that we wouldn't mind rewatching.
Yeah.
St. Elmo's Fire, I was not looking forward to and still did it. That
one I just was like, oh, all those people are just so insufferable. I don't know if I want to sit through it again.
Boy, is that true.
Yeah. And definitely the jazz singer's the worst one. Like I say, if you haven't seen it, there is a scene where Neil Diamond is in blackface. But the main thing about that movie is just that he's allegedly a young singer trying to break out.
Hilarious.
And he's like 38 years old and looks every minute of it. He does not. Yeah,
he's not a young 38.
No. Nobody 38 in the late 70s looked like they were 38. They already looked like they were 48.
Yeah.
And
definitely the case with that.
Yeah. So
you guys are making me want to watch it, to be honest.
I mean, I've seen it somewhat recently. I think you should see it if you haven't, but I don't want to talk about it.
But it's...
If I see it, I won't tell you.
It's
no. We can talk about it, but I don't want to. I don't want to
devote an episode to it.
I believe his dad is played by Laurence Olivier. Desi Arnaz's daughter is in it. I think she's the love interest. So,
hard selling it, Scott. Hard selling it.
He sings "Love on the Rocks" and some stuff like that, where it's like if you listen to it, you feel like you need a glass of bad Chablis to sip on. And
it's also like, is Neil Diamond really a jazz singer?
No, but the thing is, the basic plot is the remake of the original, which, if you want blackface in your life, there's your movie.
Yep. They bring it back.
Yeah.
All right. Well, until next week, everybody. That was another installment of the Unkind Rewind, mining our childhood for content, one film from a guest's past at a time. Unkind Rewind is a Munchcasts production and can be listened to wherever you download your podcasts and watched on the Unkind Rewind YouTube channel. Music for this and every other episode of Unkind Rewind was composed by Divorcio Suave. Rate, review, like, and subscribe to Unkind Rewind on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and Good Pods. Links to all of our social media accounts are in our show notes, but you'll find us as @UnkindRewindPod on Letterboxd and nearly every social media platform, all of which can be found at our website, unkindrewind.com. If you you have a question, concern, complaint, or feedback, you can email the podcast at unkindrewindpod@gmail.com or call into our call-in line, area code 507-479-6440, and leave a message that can be played on air. Fans should join the Munchcast Discord to discuss this or any other episode of the Unkind Rewind with like-minded people. This dialogue may just make it into a future episode of the pod. The Unkind Rewind Patreon will be coming soon, so start squirreling that pocket change away. Thank you for listening to the Unkind Rewind.